Opposition held a press conference in New Providence today to answer a number of things that the Prime Minister addressed while he was on Grand Bahama. During that press conference, the opposition leader, Pintard, accused the PLP of receiving funds from the GBPA. Can you confirm or deny? Now, firstly, I want to preface that with during an interview with Eyewitness News, he talked about uh, what happens if he were to receive any campaign funds. He never confirmed or denied whether he received it from GBPA. But now he's saying the PLP has received funds. How do you respond to that?
I respond this way. This is a typical bait and switch, smoke and mirrors, sleight of hand answer when you don't want to answer the truth of the question. And the question is not one for the Progressive Liberal Party, it's one for him. The question is this, money and all that aside, do you stand up for the people of Grand Bahama and your constituency against the Grand Bahama Port Authority, or are you a water boy for the Grand Bahama Port Authority? That's the basis of all of this. He didn't answer that at his press conference. He ignored it. And what we know from the evidence is that he's simply carrying their water for them. I've been to two demonstrations in Grand Bahama. Both have to do with the increases in power. Hiram Lewis was there, but the leader of the opposition was absent and lost in space, nowhere to be found. And only when he was forced by the press to give an answer, he tried to have his cake and eat it too by saying, oh, I'm against the increase, but I'm for the Grand Bahama Port Authority. So the basic policy question, money and everything aside, is whose side are you on as leader of the opposition? Are you on the side of the Bahamians and the citizens of Marco City, or are you on the side of the Grand Bahama Port Authority? Well, it's really something which is stark and has to be noticed, that Hiram Lewis was there, but the leader of the opposition was not there, not present. So you ask yourself, what kind of organization is he running? He's running an organization where one of his members can turn out and support the justifiable fight against this rate increase and against the overreach of the Grand Bahama Port Authority. But the leader of the opposition is equivocating. And when we check the record, the leader of the opposition has never stood up to the Grand Bahama Port Authority. He's always singing their song, he's always carrying their water, and if he's pushed to the fence, he goes missing in action. That's been the pattern of behavior. And that's all we want him to answer is, whose side are you on? The side of the Bahamians, the side of the people of Marco City, or the Grand Bahama Port Authority?
The opposition leader also accused the Davis administration of not making any headway on the airport and other Grand Bahama developments, especially the airport, because of fighting within the party. What are your comments on this?
Again, so here we go, is a man who sat in a government 4.5 years, got hoodwinked by the Grand Bahama Port Authority and their partners to buy a hotel at an overvalue. Then they allowed those same people to dump the airport, their responsibility under the Hawksbill Creek Agreement, on the Bahamas government for $1. A facility which is going to take $250 million for the Bahamas government to fix. We have to find the capital. It has to be designed. You don't do any of this stuff within 10 days. It takes a while to get this all ratcheted up. So he really has a bloody nerve to be talking about airport and developments of infrastructure in Grand Bahama when he sat in the cabinet and did nothing to advance the city where his constituents live. So we ask the question again, leader of the opposition, whose side are you on? The people of the Bahamas and your constituents in Marco City, or the Grand Bahama Port Authority?
The opposition leader is also accusing the Davis administration and successive PLP governments of failing Grand Bahama. How do you defend your party?
He has to tell us why, in 4.5 years, the government administration complex that we left when we left office, partially completed, the Holmes's Rock School, when we left, partially completed, The Bimini administration complex, when we left partially completed, he and his government could not complete it. So to talk about who carried developments before and who abandoned Grand Bahama, it is clear. In 2016, we passed an act which saved Grand Bahama in the sense that the exemptions that were then about to run out, the Progressive Liberal Party, after listening to the business community here, decided to continue those exemptions. Many of our own people said, don't do it, but we did, to the extent that the Grand Bahama Development Company was able to benefit by this year $8 million per year, amounting to $64 million foregone of revenue to the government because we passed those exemptions. So what did they do in the 4.5 years? Nothing. We, again, give away they bought a hotel at an overvalue, allowed the people to walk away with the insurance money at the airport, and abandoned their responsibilities, and no new investment in the city during the time they were in office. And don't blame COVID, and don't blame the hurricanes. The fact is you had 2 years to do something before any of those struck, and you did nothing. That's their record. Our record is what I've suggested, and our record is now pay us what you owe us for the services which you provided. And what's the lead of the opposition's answer? Oh, the money is not owed. Leave the poor Grand Bahama Port Authority alone. So we ask the question again, whose side are you on? Is it the Bahamian people, your constituents in Marco City, or the Grand Bahama Port Authority?
And there's also